There was a man who spent 30 years of his life wanting more. He read the books. He attended the seminars. He wrote his goals on paper every single morning, said his affirmations in the mirror every single night, and yet nothing changed. His bank account stayed the same. His relationships stayed the same. The life he dreamed of remained stubbornly out of reach, hovering just beyond his fingertips like a mirage in the desert. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't unintelligent. He wasn't unlucky. In fact, by most measures, he was trying harder than almost anyone around him. And that was precisely the problem. Bob Proctor met thousands of people just like this man. People full of desire, full of passion, full of vision, and yet completely stuck. And after decades of studying the human mind, of sitting with the greatest thinkers of the modern era, of helping people in over 100 countries transform their results, Bob came to one inescapable conclusion. Most people are not failing to attract what they want because they lack desire. They are failing because they don't understand how attraction truly works. They believe wanting something is enough. They believe visualizing it is enough. They believe working hard for it is enough. But wanting, visualizing, and working without understanding the deeper laws that govern the mind is like pressing the accelerator to the floor while the car is still in park. The engine roars. The effort is real. But you go nowhere. What you are about to learn is not a motivational speech. It is a blueprint for understanding the single most important mechanism in your life, the one that determines everything you have, everything you are, and everything you will ever become. Welcome. If you're here, it means something inside you already knows that there is more available to you than what you are currently experiencing. And that instinct is absolutely correct. Bob Proctor dedicated his life to one question. Why do some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth, health, love, and opportunity while others, equally deserving and equally determined, remain stuck in cycles of frustration and limitation? The answer, he discovered, is not found in the stars, not found in luck, and certainly not found in circumstances. The answer is found in the mind, specifically, in the part of the mind that most people never learn to consciously use. We live in a world that teaches us to focus on the outside. Work harder. Network more. Find the right strategy, the right market, the right moment. And while action is essential, action without understanding the inner laws of the mind is like sailing without knowing how to read the wind. You may move, but rarely in the direction you intended. Bob often said, the only thing that stands between you and what you want is the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't have it. But stories don't live in our mouths. They live in the subconscious mind, encoded there by years of programming from parents, teachers, society, and experience, and they run silently, invisibly, constantly, directing our behavior like an autopilot we didn't know we had turned on. This video will walk you through 7 powerful truths about why attraction fails and what to do differently. These are not theories. They are principles that have been validated across every discipline of human achievement, from neuroscience to quantum physics to ancient philosophy. Bob spent over 60 years applying and refining them, watching them work for janitors who became millionaires and executives who became free. The law of attraction is real. But it is not magic. It is a precise science, and like any science, it only works when you understand its rules. By the time you finish watching this, you will know what has been blocking you. More importantly, you will know exactly what to change. Let's begin. Bob Proctor used to say that the mind is like a camera, it photographs exactly what you point it at. And the tragedy is that most people spend the majority of their mental energy pointing the lens directly at what they fear, what they lack, and what they desperately want to avoid. The mind, however, does not process negatives. When you think, I don't want to be broke, the dominant image activated in your consciousness is still, broke. This is not a spiritual abstraction. It is neurological fact. The brain encodes images, feelings, and emotional impressions, not the words, don't, or no. Every time you focus on the problem, you are literally rehearsing it in your nervous system, deepening the neural groove that makes it feel more real, more permanent, and more true than any alternative. Bob would often ask audiences this question, what do you want? And almost universally, people would answer by describing what they no longer wanted to experience: debt, loneliness, illness, failure. They had become experts in the language of their limitations. They could describe their problems with extraordinary precision, and their dreams with almost none. The law of attraction does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you feel, what you visualize with consistency, and what your subconscious mind has accepted as true. If your inner world is dominated by images of lack, your outer world will reflect exactly that, not as punishment, but as a precise mirror. Shifting focus is not about pretending problems don't exist. Bob never taught toxic positivity. He taught directed thought, the disciplined practice of consciously choosing where you place your mental energy. Every minute spent obsessing over the problem is a minute not spent designing the solution. Think of two radio stations broadcasting simultaneously. One is transmitting the frequency of fear and lack. The other is transmitting abundance and possibility. The one you tune into, the one you give your sustained attention to, is the one you receive. Your thoughts are the dial. Bob often told the story of how he went from earning $4,000 a year to over $175,000 in his first year after reading Napoleon Hill. He didn't change his circumstances first. He changed what he thought about. He changed the image he held in his mind, and his circumstances rearranged themselves to match. Begin today by auditing your inner dialogue. For one full day, notice every thought you have about money, relationships, health, and success. Notice how many of those thoughts describe what you want and how many describe what you're afraid of. Most people are stunned by the results of this audit. The direction of your attention is the direction of your life. This is not poetic. It is mechanical. Thought is a force, and like all forces in the universe, it moves in the direction it is applied. Point your mind toward what you want specifically, vividly, repeatedly, and the law of attraction will do what it has always done. Return to you the precise equivalent of your dominant mental frequency. You can want something with every fiber of your being and still not attract it if, somewhere deeper in your mind, you don't believe you deserve it, can achieve it, or that it is even possible for someone like you. This contradiction between conscious desire and subconscious belief is the single greatest saboteur of human potential. Bob called it the terror barrier. The moment you move toward something greater than what you currently have, an invisible wall appears built entirely out of old programming. The programming whispers, "Who do you think you are? People like us don't live like that. Be realistic. Be safe." And most people, without realizing what is happening, turn back. The subconscious mind is not rational. It does not evaluate whether your beliefs are true or fair or accurate. It simply stores, protects, and executes whatever has been programmed into it, usually before the age of 7, by people who themselves were operating from limited programming. You inherited beliefs like you inherited eye color, without consent, without examination. The beliefs that block you rarely announce themselves. They operate silently as feelings of quiet discomfort when an opportunity arises, an inexplicable urge to self-sabotage when you're close to a breakthrough, a habitual pullback toward familiar mediocrity. You don't think, "I don't deserve this." You simply find a reason to stop. Bob was fond of pointing out that if you gave every person on Earth $1 million and took away nothing else within 5 years, the statistics would look exactly as they do now. Those who were wealthy would be wealthy again. Those who were not would have spent it. Because the money itself was never the variable. The belief system was. Changing a belief is not about willpower. It is about repetition and emotional intensity, the same two ingredients that installed the limiting belief in the first place. A child told repeatedly by a parent that money doesn't grow on trees didn't choose to believe that. It was repeated until it became subconscious fact. The antidote is equally repetitive. New ideas, new images, new statements repeated consistently, with feeling, over time will eventually displace the old programming. This is not wishful thinking. This is how the brain physically rewires itself, through a process neuroscientists now call neuroplasticity. Bob would instruct his students to write their goal in the present tense. "I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities from multiple sources," and read it with emotion multiple times per day. Not because the words were magic, but because repetition plus emotion equals subconscious reprogramming. Examine the beliefs you carry about what you want. Ask yourself, do I truly believe this is possible for me? If the honest answer is no, or even maybe, then desire alone will never be enough. You must work on the belief before the behavior will change. Your beliefs are not your identity. They are instructions. And instructions can be rewritten. One of the most common and most crippling mistakes people make when pursuing a goal is demanding to know before they begin exactly how it will happen. The how becomes a prerequisite for commitment. And since the how is almost never visible at the beginning of any meaningful journey, they never truly commit. They wait. And waiting is just another word for settling. Bob was direct about this. You don't need to know how. You need to know what and why. The how will reveal itself, but only after you commit to the what. This is not blind faith. It is the practical understanding of how the subconscious mind and the universal laws work together to create pathways that the rational mind cannot see in advance. The intellectual mind, the conscious, logical, analytical part of your thinking, can only work with information it already has. It is, by definition, limited to your past experience. But your goals, by definition, require you to move beyond your past experience. This is why logic alone can never fully chart the course to a new result. When you set a goal that is beyond your current paradigm, the path to it does not exist yet. It is created as you move. Every step of commitment activates new information, new people, new opportunities, none of which would have appeared had you waited at the starting line for a guarantee. Bob loved to use the analogy of driving at night. When you drive in the dark, your headlights only illuminate a short distance ahead. But you don't sit in the driveway waiting for the whole road to be lit. You trust that as you move, the next section will become visible. Life works exactly the same way. How thinking also produces a subtle but devastating effect. It keeps you focused on obstacles instead of the goal. Every time you ask, "But how will I pay for it?" Or, "But how would that even work?" you are sending your mental energy into problem space rather than solution space. You attract more obstacles, not fewer. The most successful people in history committed to outcomes they had no idea how to achieve. They were not reckless, they were principled. They understood that the universe has mechanisms of delivery that far exceed what any single human mind can plan. Your job is to be absolutely clear on what you want, to hold that image with unshakable confidence, and to take the next indicated step even if you can only see one step ahead. Then the next step will appear. And the one after that. Release the need to control the delivery method. What you want can reach you through 1,000 different channels, but only if you stop insisting it arrive through the one channel you have already mapped. Commit first. The how is not your department. It belongs to a power far greater than your intellect, a power that has been orchestrating the universe without your help since long before you were born. Bob Proctor taught that everything in the universe, every thought, every person, every circumstance is in a constant state of vibration. This is not metaphor. Modern physics confirms that all matter, at its most fundamental level, is energy in motion. And energy, by its nature, attracts energy of a corresponding frequency. Like attracts, like not as poetry, but as law. Here is where most people misunderstand the law of attraction. They believe it responds to what they say they want. It does not. It responds to the frequency at which they are vibrating, which is determined not by their words or even their conscious thoughts, but by their dominant emotional state. If you want abundance but you feel scarcity, if your body is tense, your mood is anxious, your conversations are dominated by worry, then your vibration is broadcasting scarcity, regardless of the abundance affirmations you repeat in the morning. The universe responds to signal, not intention. Feelings are the language of the subconscious mind. When you feel genuinely grateful, confident, expectant, and joyful even before the desired result has materialized, you are operating at the frequency of the thing you want. You become, in that moment, a magnet for it. Bob often demonstrated this by asking, "How would you feel if you already had what you wanted?" Not how would you act, how would you feel? That feeling, cultivated deliberately, held consistently, is the vibrational signal that draws your desire toward you. It is not the reward for achieving the goal. It is the cause of it. This is why gratitude is not a spiritual nicety, it is a strategic tool. When you are genuinely grateful for what you already have, you are vibrating at a high frequency. And high-frequency vibration attracts high-frequency results. Ingratitude, on the other hand, keeps you focused on lack, which broadcasts lack, which attracts more of it. Most people wait to feel good until good things happen. This is exactly backward. You must feel good on purpose, as a discipline, as a practice, and then good things happen. It seems illogical because we have been conditioned to believe that our emotions are reactions. They are not. They are causes. Begin practicing emotional state management. Choose a feeling joy, abundance, confidence, love, and deliberately generate it. Use music, memory, movement, visualization, or gratitude. Hold the feeling for as long as you can. Do this consistently, and watch what begins to shift in your external world. Your vibration is your point of attraction. It is not fixed. It is not genetic. It is not determined by your history. It is determined by the emotional frequency you choose to occupy most consistently, and that is something you can change, starting now. Raise your vibration, and the things you have been chasing will begin chasing you. Consistency is the ingredient that most people skip and the one that makes all the difference. Bob Proctor would observe that the graveyard is full of people who started. The world belongs to those who continue. Getting excited about a new idea, a new goal, a new program is easy. Maintaining that energy through the inevitable resistance, the delays, the silence, that is the real work. The law of attraction is always working, but it works through a process. Results in the external world do not materialize instantly, they are assembled over time, like a building rising from a foundation. If you change your mind, change your approach, or abandon the vision every time the timeline extends beyond your expectation, you are not giving the law of attraction anything stable enough to respond to. Bob often used the example of planting corn. A farmer doesn't plant the seed, then dig it up 2 days later to check on it, then replant it somewhere else, then abandon the field when it rains. He plants it, tends it, protects it, and trusts the process because he understands that growth happens underground, invisibly, before it ever breaks the surface. Your desires work the same way. When you hold a clear vision and take consistent action toward it, things begin moving toward you, and the unseen connections are forming, opportunities are aligning, circumstances are shifting. But none of this is visible yet. Most people give up during this phase, and then conclude that attraction doesn't work. The farmer who digs up the seed 3 days in and says, "Nothing grew," has only proven that he didn't understand the process. There is a phenomenon Bob called the vacuum of results, the period between committed intention and visible manifestation. It is precisely during this vacuum that doubt, fear, and distraction are loudest. It is also precisely the time when persistence is most important. This is the test of whether you truly believe in your goal or whether you only believe in it when things are going well. Starting over is seductive because it feels like action. A new book, a new method, a new plan, all of it generates the temporary dopamine hit of novelty. But novelty without continuity produces no compound effect. The progress you abandon when you restart is progress you must rebuild from scratch. You are not starting fresh. You are starting behind. Bob advised his students to make a decision a true decision, from the Latin decidere, meaning to cut off. To decide is to cut off all alternatives. When you have truly decided on a goal, starting over is no longer an option. You adjust. You adapt. You keep moving forward. But you never abandon the destination. Trust the timeline. The universe operates on a schedule you cannot see and cannot rush. What appears to be delay is often simply development, the accumulation of conditions required to deliver your desire in its fullest form. The people who seem to attract results effortlessly are not luckier than you. They are simply more consistent. They have learned that the secret to success is not brilliance, it is showing up for your vision every single day, even when nothing seems to be working. Stay the course. The breakthrough you are looking for is very often one committed step beyond the point where most people quit. Bob Proctor drew a distinction that changed the lives of everyone who truly understood it. The difference between wanting something and seeing yourself with it. Wanting is a longing from a distance. Seeing is a present tense experience in your imagination, vivid, felt, embodied. And only one of these two mental states activates the law of attraction at its full power. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between an event that is vividly imagined and one that is actually happening. This has been demonstrated repeatedly in clinical and sports psychology. Athletes who mentally rehearse their performance improve measurably even without physical practice because the brain fires the same neural patterns during vivid imagination as it does during the real experience. Most people, when they think about their goal, see it out there at a distance, behind glass, belonging to someone else's world. They admire it. They want it. But they do not inhabit it. They do not place themselves inside the vision as the person who already has it, already lives it, already knows it as home. Bob instructed his students to build what he called a mental movie, a detailed, living, sensory-rich visualization of their desired life. Not a vague feeling of things being better, but a specific scene: the house, the conversation, the feeling of the steering wheel, the view from the window. The more specific the image, the more powerfully the subconscious mind can begin moving the body, thoughts, and behaviors toward it. Here is the critical point. You must see yourself in the image. Not watching yourself from the outside, but looking through your own eyes, feeling the feelings, breathing the air, inhabiting the moment. First-person visualization activates a neurological response that third-person observation simply does not. If you cannot sincerely see yourself having what you want, if every time you try to visualize it, a voice says, "That's not for you," or "Be realistic," that is not a visualization problem. That is a self-image problem. And the self-image must be addressed before any visualization technique will work with full power. The self-image is the mental blueprint you hold of who you are. It sets an invisible ceiling on what you allow yourself to experience. People consistently earn incomes consistent with their self-image, attract relationships consistent with their self-image, and make health choices consistent with their self-image, not because of external forces, but because the subconscious mind will always seek to validate the image it holds of you. Expanding the self-image is the most powerful change you can make. Read about people who have done what you want to do. Surround yourself with environments that reflect what you're moving toward. Act in ways that are consistent with the person you intend to become before the evidence catches up. See yourself having it. Feel yourself living it. Let the image become familiar, comfortable, natural until your current reality begins to feel like the temporary state it truly is. You cannot attract what you cannot first contain in your imagination as real. The law of attraction is not selective. It does not favor the educated over the uneducated, the young over the old, the privileged over the disadvantaged. It is a universal law as impersonal and reliable as gravity, and it is operating in your life right now, this moment, whether or not you are aware of it. The question is never whether the law is working. The question is always, what are you attracting? Bob Proctor spent his career helping people understand that they are already using the law of attraction. Most of them just happen to be using it against themselves. Every worry is an act of creation. Every resentment is a directive. Every repeated story about why life is hard is a standing order to the universe to deliver more evidence of that story. Working with a law requires three things operating in alignment: a clear, specific image of what you want, a deep, genuine emotional connection to that image, and a subconscious belief that it is not only possible, but inevitable. When all three are present simultaneously and consistently, the law has no choice but to respond. It cannot do otherwise any more than a seed planted in good soil can choose not to grow. But most people have all three working against them: unclear, fear-based images, emotional states dominated by anxiety and doubt, and subconscious programs that insist the good life belongs to other people. Under these conditions, the law is still working with perfect precision, delivering exactly what is being ordered. You cannot fool the law. You cannot say the right words while feeling the wrong feelings and expect results. You cannot visualize wealth for 20 minutes and then spend the other 23 hours 40 minutes in scarcity consciousness and expect the visualization to win. The dominant frequency always determines the outcome. Bob taught that the work of conscious creation is, at its core, the work of bringing your inner world into alignment: thought, feeling, and belief all pointing in the same direction, toward the same clearly defined target, with the same unwavering consistency. This is not a weekend workshop. It is a daily discipline. It is also an extraordinary gift, because it means that nothing in your life is fixed. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is beyond change. The moment you begin to work consciously with the law to direct your thought, manage your emotional frequency, and reprogram your subconscious belief, the trajectory of your life begins to shift. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of them. And the tools of architecture are available to you right now: your imagination, your emotions, your will, and your commitment to the process. The law is always saying yes. Yes to your fears. Yes to your doubts. Yes to your dreams. Yes to your vision. What you give it consistently is what it affirms and amplifies. Give it something worthy of you. You were not born to struggle. You were born with the capacity to attract everything you need to live fully, contribute greatly, and experience the joy that is the birthright of every human being. The law is not withholding anything from you. It is waiting for you to align with what you say you want. Bob Proctor once said, "Most people are not afraid of failure. They are afraid of succeeding at something that doesn't matter." And perhaps that is the deepest truth of everything you've heard today. The life you want is not frivolous. It is not greedy. It is not a distraction from something more serious. It is the very purpose of your time here to grow, to expand, to give, and to experience the full expression of what you are capable of becoming. You now understand what has been working against you. The misdirected focus, the contradicting beliefs, the need to know the how before you commit, the vibrational misalignment, the inconsistency, the inability to truly see yourself inside the life you desire, and the unconscious habit of working against universal law rather than with it. These are not flaws. They are patterns, and patterns can be changed. Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. Starting with the very next thought you choose to think. The work begins on the inside. It always has. The outer world, the money, the relationships, the health, the freedom is simply the printout of an inner program. Change the program, and the printout changes. This is not philosophy. This is the most practical instruction you will ever receive. Bob Proctor proved it with his own life. Millions of people around the world have proven it with theirs. And you have every capacity to prove it with yours. Make the decision today. Not the wish. Not the hope. The decision. Commit to your vision with the full weight of your desire, your attention, and your belief, and let the law do what it has always done. It has never failed anyone who truly understood it. And it will not fail you.